little sad about it, but it came to an end on Friday night, but did have the 3 game rolling into the final game of the season, so defenseman Ethan Capp.
Ethan, you talked about the point streak. I know we were kind of focused on that earlier in the season. Bittersweet in that the streak goes away, but at a point in time where the team is just scoring goals left and right, how's that kind of work out for you?
I think this late in the season, that's one of the last things you're thinking about. It's nice. It's always a nice little boost, especially when you're winning. But like I said, at this stage, we're really just concerned with getting 2 points for the team, especially when each one had so many implications on standings and home ice.
Obviously, Riddick gets the call up today, Bednar comes back. What are the similarities in their games, and what will you have to kind of adapt to and reprogram yourself towards?
Having both those guys at the same time was a pretty big luxury for us when we did have them mid-season. I know Bedsy was kind of up and down a lot more than David was, but we feel insanely comfortable with whichever one of them was in the lineup. Having Bedsy back is awesome. He's a bit of a different style than Dave. Maybe they handle the puck a little bit differently, but for us, especially as D-men, I can't say we think about it too much with those two because they're such elite players.
How do you work communication-wise? I mean, obviously you guys are working with the keeper and you're switching guys. Obviously, even game to game, you're working with different guys. But when you have this big of a shift right before the playoffs, how do you process the communication to make sure that you and Bedsy are on the same page versus you and Richardson when he checks in? What's that process like for you guys as defensemen?
Like I said, it's not, for us, it's not too big. Luckily, getting Bedsy back this early in the week, instead of, say, getting him back Thursday, we'll get a few practices in with them. We've already gone through a couple of drills just at the end to kind of get back into the swing of things with him. He's a guy that he makes so many good reads on the ice, regardless of whether or not you're communicating with him. So he's going to make plays with the puck, whether or not we're loud. We're going to be there for him, obviously. But he's such a good player that he'll get back and reintegrated pretty quickly, no matter what.
Do you think this team is one of the faster teams you've been on? Andrew was talking about that earlier, and he thinks that's a big ingredient for being good in the playoffs.
Absolutely. We've got, we're a pretty youthful team, and I think that has something to do with it. We're all really good skaters. Our forward core, north, south, east, west, they can all scoot really well. The D core, we're all big, mobile. I played on some pretty fast teams in junior, but this is a completely different level, I would say. We got 4 lines, 3.5, whatever you want to call it, of guys that can skate and move and can go north-south in a hurry.
Tanner said a second ago that you guys kind of like to be a team that's going to give up maybe a goal or two a game, and with this blizzard of goals the last couple of games, have you felt a little bit of relief? Do you kind of hold yourself to that same standard, like we want to be an excellent defensive team first? What's the mentality there for you guys?
Absolutely, and I think if you asked Bedsy that, he'd probably answer the same thing. He'd want to say we're looking to keep the goal total down. I think, like Tanner said a few weeks ago, it was looking a little dicey for goal scoring on our end. But for us, yeah, we're absolutely kind of built from the back end out that way. But we have tons of guys that can score up front. We've got lots of depth. It's just a matter of who's putting the puck in the net.
As far as a road trip for you guys, 2-3-2 series, you've got to spend maybe a little bit more time down in Jacksonville in one place than you want to. What's that like for a player? Can you kind of walk us through the process of travel, getting set up, getting ready to play a game when you've got to go, not just on a road trip, but obviously a playoff road trip?
Yeah, it does make it easier going to a place like Jacksonville, especially their arena. It's a bit newer. It's got a bit more of a pro feel to it, especially with the attendance they get and the attendance they will be getting on that Friday and Sunday to start off game 1 and 2. You obviously like home ice. I think with the 2-3-2 format, it's interesting. It's different than the 2-2-1-1-1. I think having that block of 3 right in the middle puts a lot of pressure on that home team to win both games to start. And that's not to say we're just looking to get a split going in there, because you can put a ton of pressure on that team if you can come out with 2 victories in their barn, right? They're looking at, they need at least 2 of the 3 in our barn. So it's an interesting way of splitting it up. We're going down there with the mindset of we want to win 2, but we know that road games in the playoffs are a lot tougher than home games.
One more question.
Crowd-wise, when you guys get back to Greenville, the last couple of games, the well seemed like it was the most electric it's been for a little while, and obviously when you're putting 7 up, the fans are gonna wanna come out and see that, but how important is it to you guys as players when you guys do come back for the 3 games at home that Greenville fans show up and turn the well back into what it was last weekend?
It helps a ton. It's what makes the playoffs, I think, is the shift in energy, the shift in tone, right? I'm sure the Greenville fans are gonna be, they're gonna bring a little bit of animosity to the table. I don't think the penalty box is gonna be the most fun place to be for Jacksonville. We've had great support all season, but I know that it gets ramped up even more so in the playoffs. I know the well will be rocking. I know Greenville's gonna show up, and I'm pretty excited for it.